I am Joshua K. Sabra, Esquire, and he is Dr. Miles Salisbury. And you are listening to the Miles Ahead podcast, where we share tactics, techniques, and protocol to improve your physical, mental, and spiritual health while you walk the path of the warrior. Stay tuned. In today's episode, Dr. Miles and I interview Stacy Ramakers, who shares with us the secret to losing 11% body fat in only 4 months, the secret upside to being afraid of failure and of letting other people down and how that will help you succeed, and also why being a winner is difficult. Stay tuned. And we're live.
We're back.
Happy Saturday. It's our first Saturday recorded pod.
It is. Yeah.
And our second live guest? Third? Second.
In the office live guests? Yeah. Not our, if you don't count Zoom, yes.
Yeah.
Second,
Phil.
Phil. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Look at that.
Exciting.
Exciting.
So this is going to be a lot of fun for me. And this is a continuation of a conversation that I've been having for the last 100 years, it feels like. When we started this podcast, we were talking about the intersection between mental and physical health for people who are walking the path of a warrior. And I am always fascinated by people who appear to make rapid transformation. Like they make a decision, they pivot, and things change very quickly. And in my industry, in the health and fitness industry, people say, the people who are very good at this say, you need to give these things a long time. Like change takes time. And that's true. It takes time to adapt to a program, but it doesn't need to take a long time, and it doesn't need to take a lot of drama and friction if you're willing to actually like let go of the ideas that you already had, that your preconceived notions, your beliefs, the baggage you're bringing with you. If you're not attached to that baggage, change can happen really fast. And I've seen a few of those in my career. I've not seen one person change that fast. So that's why I'm so excited to dig into this with you and Stacy. So in fact, let me introduce.
Yeah. Who are we talking to today?
Yeah. This is my friend and client and star pupil and also secret teacher, Stacy Ramakers.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah. Ramakers.
Yeah.
Is it Dutch or German?
Dutch.
There we go. Got it right first time.
Ramakers van Praag, but it's my husband's name, so.
Gotcha.
I am not Dutch.
You're not Dutch?
No.
What's your maiden name?
Merletti, so Italian.
Italian.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let me see. You got a number 8.
Yeah. That was my favorite number, sports number, and my son, who's 12, adopted it. And
Great.
So I bought him one, and then he bought me one.
There you go. Was it Kobe's number 2 for a while?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good number.
Yeah. I like it. I've always liked the infinity sign. And
Just going to say that.
Yeah. So it reminds me of that. Yeah.
Cool. Very good. So you guys have been working together for not very long.
5 months?
It's 5 months now.
June? It was
quick.
June.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's been, like I said, a very fast transition, covered a lot of ground. And it's one of those, it's a fun thing as a coach and as a teacher, right? When you have like your textbook of like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, most people never start. Of the people that start, most people attrit really quickly and never get into these different phases of athletic development where you get to take somebody through a strength phase, a base building phase, a power phase, all those things. And so it's one of those opportunities where someone's just eating up the material and just adhering to the program such that she sees the results and it's like, oh shit, we can start the next phase now. Like, okay, it's game on. And it's really great. to see that happen IRL, and it's super impressive. So I'm excited to dig into that. And before we do, though, I need to get in touch with who you really are.
What we do every podcast.
So Stacy said something about, what were you saying about music that that you really relate to it?
Oh, I just it's just like a big part of how I feel and how I get motivated. So I'll hear songs and hear the lyrics, and sometimes it's like exactly how I'm feeling. And so it's hard for me to explain to certain people like who I am or how I'm like what's really going on inside my head and my heart. And I think a lot of people see me from the outside or how I am in my work life or life, and that's not always who I really am. And so I was saying before we started, sometimes the only way I can explain it is through songs. So I'll send people songs. I sent these 2 songs to my boss, and I was like, just so you know, like if I'm acting a certain way, like these are the things that are at the root of it, of how I feel.
I love that. I think I said emotional playlist before we started recording.
Yeah, and then like when I'm working out or in the car, like there's playlists I make to get, if I'm tired, to get pumped up on my way to work, or during a workout, I have kind of the same playlist I use, and there's enough songs that there's variety in that. So just like it's always been a huge part of my life.
Great. Yeah, that's the power of music.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. Yeah. Emotional playlists. I do that too. I was telling Josh that earlier in a podcast that if my soul could make a sound, it would probably be the band Sigur Rós, which nobody has heard of. Some people out there have heard of it. That's just I don't know. It's just something, the way music resonates with our souls. Like certain songs. Or your emotional state that day or that week. And if you can't explain it in words, it's like you can connect with someone like, I'm feeling this vibe right now.
Right.
It might not be a one-to-one connection with that person, but they'll get a flavor of what's going on with you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool that music can do that.
Right.
So Josh is going to ask you.
What am I listening to right now?
Yeah.
That's right.
So there's this new song, I Am Not Okay by Jelly Roll. So
That's a good one.
I've listened to what you guys pick, and I love all the stuff you guys listen to, but I've been listening to a lot of that. There's kind of these like pop country songs that have come out that I've been listening to. Shabuzi, Morgan Wallen. I listen to a lot of Taylor Swift.
A Swiftie.
Yes.
Join the cult.
She has a song called "The Man," and I work in a male industry, and if you haven't heard it and you're a female working in a male industry, listen to it. So that's another one. That's one I actually listen to almost every day on the way to work.
Just like prime you from the environment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell people what that is, or
what I do for work?
Yeah.
So I work in commercial construction. So I'm
there you go.
project executive for a large commercial construction company. I've been doing it 24 years.
Wow.
So
you can speak man. Sort of.
I was telling Josh yesterday, sometimes it's easier for me to talk to men than it is to talk to women. Maybe just because I'm around them. I've been around them so long. A little less drama, a little more easier to read.
Easier to manipulate.
That too. Yeah. I've gotten pretty good at that. And it's ironic because I grew up in a house of girls. I had 2 sisters, and now I work with boys and I live with boys. So I have a son, a husband, 2 male dogs, and then I work in this male industry. So
you're just balancing out. That's all.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So today your answer would be Jelly Roll.
And Taylor Swift. Yeah.
That song is really good.
It's really good.
It's actually, the lyrics are quite sad.
They are quite sad.
Jelly Roll's a tortured person.
You can tell by the song.
Yeah. He comes by it honestly. Yeah. I've scrolled through because I saw him coming up and being popular. So I've scrolled through and listened to the. Yeah. It's a good time to cut me out.
So yeah, technical difficulties. Sorry about that. If it sounds weird, the podcast player just turned off for some reason. Maybe it's the battery. Is it plugged in? Can you just walk right over there and look and see if it's glowing?
It's glowing, yeah.
Okay, we're good. Yeah, it must not have just been pushed in all the way. Anyway, so Rocky, run up the steps. You listen to that song.
Yeah, they're gonna fly now. It used to be my ringtone when I was like starting my business, and just something that I go to. God, I'm cheesy. I hear it. Anyways, yeah.
Not cheesier than Taylor Swift, so you're good. You're in good company.
Gosh, she's so good though.
She's a really good a marketer for sure, definitely. She's one of the only billionaire artists, right?
Sure. Well, she's anybody who this is something that's really interesting. If you go to a popular artist and listen to their music, because if you've ever messed around with, do you play any instruments?
I used to play the piano.
So learning the notes and the keys and the what the melody does to the audience, right? That's one thing. But if you like Tom Petty, I'm just gonna pull some names, right? Jelly Roll, Josh Turner, whatever genre, whatever instrument, Taylor Swift, it's not complex notes. It's not Japanese guitar solos that are moving people. It is the amount of presence that they put of themselves into the music and in the material.
Right.
They're sharing part of them with you, even though they're only using the G chord, right? It is, doesn't have to be technically amazing music to be very emotionally impactful. And I would say, that's just a reminder of relying on the expertise is a one way to make sure that you don't have to be as vulnerable if you're a talented, whatever you are, musician, artist, trainer, construction executive. So, that's my defense of Taylor Swift. All right, you go. What do you listen to?
Blast from the Past, Keen. You know Keen?
Yeah.
I saw them
amazing.
live.
Most people don't. Yeah. This was their first album. Someone did a cover recently. I was listening to a show and they covered one of the songs, and I was like, I gotta listen to that album again. So their first one, it's good. They're great. I think they're under the genre of Britpop, technically, whatever that means. Probably Coldplay, Radiohead, all these guys that I like.
Love it.
Yeah. It's cool that you guys even know who they are. Sometimes people have no idea who I'm talking about. So, heck yeah.
Yeah. So everyone here has good taste in music. That's important.
No, we're music snobs.
So, the one of the things that people that makes this conversation so important, and it's probably mirrors the way that your career or your work goes, Miles, is like people come to me and they say, I want a dramatic inside out transformation. Like I want to be like, not the Biggest Loser. Like they don't necessarily, I mean, some people want to lose 100 pounds, but mostly it's like, I know that this is not my potential and I want to achieve it. That's like, I get that a lot when I'm interviewing people. And when I go through a few second and third order questions into the interview, what I see is they don't like where they're at, but they're so attached to their problems, to their personal story, to their stuff around their lifestyle and identity as it is, they actually can't be the best version of themselves. And if you force people to choose, most people would rather stay safe than grow. And that's not a knock. I mean, I've done that.
We all have done that.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people will say, I want to see what I can do. And rarely does that same person show up day in and day out for the months that it takes to do it. So, when Stacy started, she said all those things, but we didn't get that deep. I asked enough questions to make sure I knew that, she was ready and motivated. But
I think you're a little skeptical at the beginning.
good. I should be more fucking skeptical.
He is.
He was like hard selling me, and I was like, I gotta take some time. And then I committed. So I feel like maybe he was a little skeptical on how I was going to show up.
Well, it's a psychologist question for you. I bet you've been doing a version of this work beforehand coming into this process.
Yes.
And so you're priming yourself knowing that you were going to do something hard, having probably already gone through some hard things before and feeling ready to actually do the work.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sure you'll talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she did. Yeah, and I think that I'm so glad you said that, because when I'm interviewing them, they think, a lot of people think I'm trying to get them to trust me. I'm trying to see if they trust themselves, right? Most people, I'm not going to fix anyone. And Stacy and I talked about that. I'm not going to chew your food for you. I'm going to make it really clear what the right answer is and give you all the tools. But you have to trust yourself. And that's what I think people, when I dig in just a little bit, there's people are very, they're on shaky legs when it comes to their own self-efficacy. And what they hope, and sometimes it's true, when you commit to something or, commit to a coach, that you rise to the occasion. Absolutely. And there's elements of that. But this is, it's a tough thing to actually change.
Yes.
Like if we've all in this room done some changing, it's hard. So, yeah, I was skeptical, and, but within the first 3 months, I think we had like a 7% shift, like dramatic, faster than I've changed my body and faster than most successful students change. Yep. They've got it to 11% in 4 months, 5 months. So
yeah,
I was like, holy shit. This is what it looks like when there is absolutely no friction between desire and action. Like, that's worth noting. And so then I start to ask the questions, what's not here that's present in so many other people? And I started digging around, and Stacy was a little dodgy. So this is our chance to get into it. Yeah, this is our chance to get into it a little bit more deeply. So the first question to kick it off. Okay, so basically what I want to know is, what's going on? Like why is now the time? So tell me about, like, if you can bring yourself back to that time, or you can free associate.
Sure.
Why it was important for you to change.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I guess to answer the question, a little bit of history. I've been like a competitive athlete since I was about 5 years old. So I was doing gymnastics through my youth, and like I remember being young and always knowing that I wanted to compete at a high level. So as I was doing gymnastics, it was, I want to go, I'm 11 years old, and I want to go to the 96 Olympics. Trained, 5 hours a day, was away for summers, staying with host families, doing training camps, going, that's all I did. That's all I remember doing. And I loved it. I don't know how my parents afforded it, but that's what I did. And, it got to a point, it was, I was always really good, but I knew I wasn't quite as at the level of some of the people I was competing against. And some things changed through middle school. And so I started playing soccer.
Heck yeah.
Same motivation, right? It was, I knew I wanted to play in college.
What position do you like?
Center midfield.
Oh.
So I can run for a long, I'm an endurance athlete. I'm not super fast, but I could kind of go forever. And I always liked being the captain, right?
Yeah, classic.
What position did you play?
Right back.
Right back.
Or stopper sometimes if the formation.
So fast and strong.
Yeah. That's probably why I got hurt so much.
Yeah. And it wasn't just, I want to play in college. It was, I want to play Division I for a top 20 school. So I've always just like had this, and a lot of it was my upbringing. It was like everything I always heard was achievement, excellence, like beat into me, whether it was school, sports. If you're gonna do something,
It was a family value.
yeah, you gotta give it all. You gotta commit. You gotta put in the work.
Was this both parents?
Yeah, it was both parents. My dad was more like, you're gonna do it, like you're gonna achieve if I'm gonna pay for it. And my mom was more like, she was softer about it. She was more, I know how much this means to you. And you've told me all these things that you want. And if you want that, you need to commit, right? So hers was more like understanding of me. And my dad was more like,
Hers was probably a better approach.
yeah.
But your dad was
you gotta
supportive.
achieve. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I played through college. I played at University of Washington, and then I played for a team. I graduated in 2000, came back to Portland, and Portland had a women's like semi-pro team. So this is before Thorns, before Timbers were still A-League. Timbers.
US, or not even USL then, was something else.
Yeah, it was something else. I don't remember what it was, but
what were you guys called?
We were called the Portland Rain.
Oh, perfect. I think I actually remember that.
RAIN.
Yeah, I thought that was the basketball team. So it was
Rain. Yeah, Rain was I think the basketball, the REIGN one.
The WNBA.
Yeah. And we played in this Canadian league. So there was Portland, Seattle, and like 5 Vancouver, BC teams. So we would travel up there. We didn't get paid, but we didn't pay to play.
Sure.
We used to play before the Timbers, and a bunch of the guys that played at Washington and University of Portland were on the Timbers at that time. So super fun.
That's
if you remember those days, it was Thirsty Thursdays.
Yeah.
$1 beers at the park,
PGE
right?
Park.
We'd have 10 fans. The Timbers would have, maybe 100 or more. And it's just like evolved. And so then my son was born. I wasn't playing soccer as much. I'm in my 30s and had miles an hour talk. He's got a boot on his right foot. We were talking about
commiserating
ankle and Achilles injuries. I had a lot of sprained ankles and was in a boot for a long time. I started swimming and I had started cycling a lot. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to compete in triathlons.
So you just get after it whenever you do.
Yeah, it's like it was always in me, and I don't know if it's a combination of having a stressful job and then wanting to balance that out.
Right.
Because fitness was always a really big stress reliever for me.
Oh, yeah.
And there was never a barrier. At these times, I never was unmotivated to go for a run. I was never unmotivated to go to the gym. It was, if anything, that people I was dating or whatever were like, why do you go to the gym so much? Why do you work out so much? And obviously those relationships didn't work out.
How do you even explain it to people that don't get it?
That's why they don't work out.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But as I got older and I think through so I ended up starting to do Olympic distance triathlons. And so then it was, I want to qualify for nationals, age group nationals. I did I was 40 at this time. So I did at 40, I went to Cleveland. This was right before COVID. So 2019, COVID hits and it's fine for a while, but then kind of like that whole fitness network that I had wasn't there anymore. Like we go to Bay Club and we had all the friends and the classes, and there was groups I swam with and cycled with, and I feel like everyone just kind of started doing their own things. A lot of people went to home gyms or like smaller gyms. I think training as a whole changed a little bit through COVID.
100%. Yeah,
with the introduction of Peloton and online classes.
Yep.
And so coming out of that, I found myself, I was getting older. I wasn't as motivated to go running because it wasn't as fun anymore and it hurt. Like I'd go for a run, then I couldn't walk for a couple days, just sore. I didn't really want to ride my bike for 4 hours anymore. Like there wasn't time to do these massive workouts that I was conditioned to. And when you are really athletic and you work out all the time and you're an athlete, you don't ever really think about what you eat either.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Because you're burning so many calories, you can't even get enough food to sustain yourself, you know?
Always ravenous.
Yeah. And so I just never thought about that. But when I kind of realized that, okay, I don't want to work out for 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, that just wasn't sustainable. I didn't know what to do.
Mhm.
I had no other context to a healthy nutrition and fitness program that wasn't related to some kind of competition or high intensity training program.
So it kind of set up for you in that way.
Yeah. And so instead, I just kind of stopped, and I'd always been kind of the same size. Like I looked the same way I look now when I graduated high school. I've always been pretty good. There's been ebbs and flows, but I've never really had a massive weight gain or
And you've had children.
Yeah, even when I was doing spin classes at 8 months pregnant,
Wow.
And I did them until I couldn't reach the handlebars anymore.
That's the barometer.
Yeah. And then if anyone's listening that's had a kid, at the end, the last month, you just want to get the thing out of you. So the only way to do that is to move. So I walked
Right.
all the time. I was like, get this thing out of me.
Which you love.
I love him. Yeah, he's great. He's great. He's my favorite person in the world.
So this so far, it sounds like you're a lifelong athlete, competitive person, competing in the way that like Pete Carroll describes as in a way to bring out the best in you and your utmost potential for whatever that is. So we can talk. We're going to talk more about that, of course, but I also want to highlight the fact that if you think that the secret is that she was an athlete, I've worked with NFL, NBA, Division I, Oregon Duck, people who are an elite level of performance and have a tenth of the interest in changing, right? Of actually doing something different. Like what they believe is that it's going to somehow just magically happen the way that they didn't have to plan it out when they were in their 20s and 30s or whenever they were at their peak.
Probably felt like magically happening when you're that age.
Yeah, because I was just doing my job. And
you just think about it. You just did what your coach said or what your trainer said.
So and I know so many people who were, and if you listen to this, people too who are amazing athletes in high school and college and are not amazing athletes right now.
Got the dad nod.
Yep.
So that's where my curiosity begins, because I see people with potential all the time that have no interest in using it. And that's where I want to you zoom in, because one of the things that and I'll pull the quote up in a second that you said yesterday about why it's so important to you to do this. But I want to also frame in all these leagues that you're competing in, it's not like you tell me, are you the best on the team? Is that easy for you? Or did you feel like you were challenged the whole time?
I was never there's some people like the LeBron James of the world and the Kobe, there's certain people that were born to be the best, right? Tom Brady. There's these, actually, he's a bad example because he
worked hard.
He worked hard and he wasn't the best.
Well, LeBron James works hard as well.
That's true. Yeah, they all work hard. But I guess there's some people that I was never the best. I wasn't the most talented. I wasn't the most skilled. I started late. I wasn't the fastest ever. And I wasn't ever the winner. I wasn't the full ride scholarship athlete at UW. I was the invited walk-on that worked my way up to getting room and board at the end of the year, But yeah, so I was never the best. And I was always surrounded, I think I was telling you this, I was always surrounded by these really good athletes, but I never felt as good as them, right?
That didn't stop you from competing,
right?
And playing. And there's this question that a coach can use to discern how fear-based somebody is. And it's like, would you take the opportunity to play a game of one-on-one with Michael Jordan? If you beat him, you get $1 million. And a lot of people would say no. And it's like, why not? You get a chance, or Jordan's going to crush you, but it doesn't matter. Jordan is prime. And then he adds to it, well, what if you're LeBron James? Then would you take that chance? Right now, all of a sudden, everybody is interested. And it's like, so you only want to compete if you're going to win. You only want to compete if you think that you can't lose.
No outcome.
So fear is the arbitrage of that. And what she's saying is, I don't care. I know I'm clearly not the best person on the team. I'm clearly not born at the top 10th of 1%, but it's exciting to see how far I can take this and what my potential is.
I mean, shoot, I'd play against Michael Jordan just to say I played against Michael Jordan. I don't even need $1 million.
Exactly.
You know?
How'd you get that guy? Let me tell you.
That's enough, right? Just to be on the court with him.
Absolutely.
With someone of that caliber.
But that's not what people think.
Yeah.
Right? You say that, and it's so obvious to people who want to live life. But from the couch, maybe everybody would say that. But laced up, watching him dunk on people and just snatch the ball away and knock them down with the ball, then people get intimidated, and they don't want to get hurt and have their ego bruised.
They don't look stupid. Okay.
When I started cycling, a girlfriend of mine, we went to high school together and kind of reconnected. We weren't super close in high school, but she got me into cycling. And she's one of those people, I'm pretty shy, and I'm not like pretty introverted, or I'm on the introvert scale. And, but she's not. She's the type of person that calls me up and is like, get your ass out here. We're going for a ride. And she connected me with all these women that are in her caliber of cycling. And we would go on these trips, and I'd be the last one up the hill, right? I'd be the last one to finish. And I would feel like I was failing. And then people would tell me, like, but Stace, like, you're cycling with professional cyclists. Like, these girls they do pro cyclocross. They do professional, like, off-road mountain biking, triathlons. They do, all these things. And I felt like that's what I've been in my whole life, but it is really difficult. You need people to remind you of that, because otherwise you feel inadequate sometimes.
Sure.
A lot of times.
Sure.
In those situations.
Nothing wrong with being the last in the peloton if it's a category 1 peloton.
Right. Yeah.
You can still hang with them.
But I think that sometimes, and trust me, like, I was nervous to go. Because I don't want to fail. I don't want to be the slowest, but I went anyway, right? And the experience was better than if I hadn't gone, because then I'd be sitting on the couch doing nothing.
Technically, it's the only way you fail, right?
Yeah, by not showing up.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's the only way to fail. You just don't show up.
Mm-hmm.
So, the mental game is the X factor, right?
Yes.
We've discerned so far. And Stacy said something that I'm probably going to put on a plaque.
Oh boy.
Bumper sticker.
Yeah. Well, so I asked her, we're talking about how do you cope with the stress of life? And I'm going to paraphrase as I was taking a lot of notes. But so what I wrote down is that her process of coping, you can correct me if I don't have this all encapsulated well. Her process of coping is by taking on new challenges in new environments and creating new skills and sharing her experience and her lessons with others. So she lives it and then learns it and then gives it away. and she has a consistent curiosity about what her limits are, and she's willing to test them. And in so doing, she's being of service to others. And
That's a long bumper sticker.
yeah.
I mean, you see some of those stickers out there, though. It's like the whole back windshield's full of political shit. You could do it.
Yeah. Well, but I think like it is embodying the warrior within. That's it. Like, that's what it is. Like, it's you're here to create something and give it away, and you're going to live it first, and that's enough. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. But that, to me, and we can get into the biology of that, but I think that our nervous system is hardwired to adapt to stress and challenge. And what happens is people feel overwhelmed by their credit card bills and their arguments with their spouse, and they forget that we have the DNA of Heraclitus within us, who is an ancient Greek warrior who had the quote, the 1 in 100 is the warrior that will bring back the other 99. We have that greatness within us, and it was meant to come out in a physical and mental challenge, not in perseverating on negative thoughts that, oh, by the way, most of the time we just created to have something to do.
That don't happen.
So that's part one. Part two, so in terms of the training and the actual, like the easy part to describe, what's the difference between what you were doing in the gym and with nutrition? What's the difference between what you actually did versus what you were expecting to find when you started the journey?
You mean when I started it with you?
Yeah. So you've lost your community. You're not feeling good. You're searching for something.
Well, I knew I wanted to change, and I couldn't do it by myself. And so I was looking for help, right? So what is the difference between what I expected and what I got?
Well, that's right. So did you, when you're saying you're looking for help, is this what you thought you would be doing?
No. So I was like surfing on Instagram, and I mean, there's so many like, quick fixes out there right now. And I've fallen in those traps too.
Sure.
Right. And I was lost. And so I was searching through Instagram, and randomly there was like all these transformation programs, and Josh's was the only one that was right by my house. So, I think I didn't really know what to expect. And I've worked with a lot of trainers in my life, a lot of them. Like after I had my son, I hired a trainer because I knew, like, I heard horror stories about women not being able to get their core back.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I always liked about myself. I thought it was going to be more of a diet, and there's all these things. I've fallen into the paleo diet or the Whole30 or, no carbs, like these diets that are out there. And again, I'd gained 15 pounds, I think, over what my normal is, and a whole lot of, body fat. And I thought we were just going to be working out. And I think the difference was I didn't realize how much I didn't know about nutrition and food, and that I don't have to work out as much. Like the time can be really shorter if it's the right training and I'm eating the right things. So, you started plugging it into the app and everything, and I realized I had a massive amount of fat in my diet, which I was pretty low carb, high fat fat has a lot of calories, and I know I need carbs to be able to
heal.
Or to burn. I need carbs to burn.
And of course, the right kind of carbs.
Yeah. So the physical side of it wasn't that foreign to me. I mean, it was a different program, but I knew how to do that side. But it was really the nutrition side that was game changing. And that's, I think, the biggest thing, the biggest mind shift for me. And now I don't really have to use the app as much. Like I can look at something and know.
You've internalized it.
Yeah. I can kind of understand what I'm getting into. So
Guardrails, right? What she's saying is like, it didn't take as much time and training as she thought it was going to take. It took a little bit more precision with her choices, but it's so much easier to put the reins on somebody's motivation than it is to try and put the spurs to them. Patrick Bet-David has a book out, and he said it's easier to motivate somebody than it is to put the reins on them. I'm like, well, I don't know what is in the water at your company, but like, if you can motivate like 400 people, but you can't calm them down, I want to come in and see what you're giving these people, because most of the time I find that people are, I mean, maybe making money is different, and you can speak to that if you have a big team, but in fitness, there's people that have, they think that discomfort is the same as pain, and they have an unsafe relationship with pain, meaning they can't tell if they have a good pain or a bad pain. Because sometimes when you're training hard and you're like breathing new life into a tissue, it kind of hurts. And it like, and you know, it's like your tricep burns, but it burns in like is this thing tearing? Like, I don't know if this is good. Yeah. And that's the fascia disconnecting with some of the, you know, fibers of the muscle, and it's unadhesing. So good quality movement will mobilize things that haven't been mobilized before. And that kind of burns. And so a lot of people are like, this is bad. I shouldn't be doing this, you know? And my favorite is when people go get a doctor's note and they're like, my doctor said squats are bad for your knees, or my physical therapist says I can't do this or that. And it's like, so how are you going to get up the stairs without bending the knee and the ankle? So you're done now, huh? Like it isn't, and you can modify any exercise but what you can't do is, if someone doesn't trust themselves to be able to experience discomfort and a little bit of pain, that no amount of me telling them it's okay is going to work, right? So they have to feel trust in themselves and know it's going to be okay. And in the flip side, and I think everybody in this room is kind of that way, it's nice when you have somebody else who's got that same DNA that you have, where you're a hard charger, and say, hey, Miles, we don't actually need to do squats today if your ankle's not feeling it. There's other things we can do for the quads. And, you know, if you're somebody who doesn't give yourself a break, you probably need somebody in your corner who's like, actually, there's another way to do this. We don't even have to stress out that joint, right? And I think that the quality that I bring to the table is knowing what is a useful stressor and what is not a useful stress, and then giving people permission to back off just a scotch. And that's basically my whole job with Stacy. I was like, you know, we're just going to do 12 really hard reps today, and then we're going to do some foam rolling, you know, like that's probably all we need to do today.
Which is like, what? Like I leave those days and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go
for a 5-hour run.
Yeah, I need to go do more.
You have to feel 100% spent before you know you're
like I was sick and I was dying. I'm surprised he let me be there as long as I was, and we were doing squats, and then I usually walk a little bit after because it makes me less sore.
Right.
Plus, I think I still have that little bit of that crazy side of like need to do a little bit of extra.
Sure.
And we did a couple reps.
You got a PR in the squat. Like, just so we're clear of what is happening, she does a maximum effort squat. And she was like, she's like, we did nothing. It's like, are you kidding me,
I was
Stacy?
dying. I thought I was going to die. Every time that day, I think that was the day I said, I think this makes me feel like I'm going to explode. Something. And then I was like, oh, I'll go walk. And then I just see his face kind of looks at me, and I was like, actually, I think I'm going to go home. And he's like, good idea. Go home.
Yeah. And like, but I think that just like the way, like, look how, I'm gonna say disconnected from reality. No, I don't even have a connection with my own reality all the time. But when you're somebody who's used to swinging for the fence, it's like getting a base hit is a problem. And getting a base hit a third of the time puts you in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just like the context, right? And having a sense of you got a PR on the squat, and then I sent you home to relax. Like that is exactly what you need on a day when you're not feeling 100%.
Yeah.
And on the days where you feel 150%, sweet, you could do extra volume, and that's great. We'll stack it, we'll bank it. But and this goes for me too. Having a guide who understands what difficult is, not difficult emotionally, because no one likes to see someone else complain and suffer, but what's actually like a truly difficult demand for the nervous system or demand for the body, and then marry that with what the person needs in front of you so that you are serving them and seeing them at the same time.
Well, so you are doing a little psychological work.
Oh, it's 90% therapy.
Totally. People are like, oh yeah, you really like your new trainer. And I was like, it's because I've had mental health professionals, I've had executive coaches, I've been like flooded with it.
The flavor
in my adult life, never as a kid, right? No one talked about it when we were kids,
right.
But yeah, it's like it's a physical and mental health session twice a week for an hour.
There you go.
And I like to think that I provide a little bit of that mental health to Josh as well.
It's a two-way street.
A little bit, yeah. I'm always like, what question is he going to ask me today?
100%. Well, and that's how I learn. And I get so much from people because the value of all these books and these conversations on podcasts is I get to borrow Miles' POV and see how he sees things. And that is educational in and of itself, because I am fixated on what it looks like the answer from my perspective, but that's just with my set of skills and perceptions. And I get so much good stuff from Stacy, and it also like she's a coach. She didn't brag about this. She's a coach for undefeated football team.
Undefeated 7th grade youth football team.
Heck yeah.
Lakers youth football team.
Oh, yeah. The enemy. I'm a Laker.
We beat you guys in the final.
Oh, man.
For the 7th grade team.
But she not intuitively, obviously through many years of training, as she just said, she intuitively knows how to reach these kids. And she's like, I want to know their why. So she makes them write down their, why are you doing this football program? So she can go back to it later. And then when she is teaching them things, she teaches them the physical conditioning in the way that they need to use it. So it's just like she's integrating all the time, rapid integration. So,
well, you talked earlier about, I think learning, and I don't know, I'm a coach at work, right? I have a large team, and then I always feel like there's so much that I've learned through my life that I want to give it away. I want to give it back, right? Like that, to me, that feels better than doing it. And so with these kids, I was kind of deemed the fitness coach, but we didn't talk a lot about, they're 12. They're all perfectly capable of doing wind sprints and running and doing the things they need to do to be fit. But we talked more about the mental side of it. Like, how do you get yourself through 30 seconds of push-ups? And trust me, I hate push-ups. I like them now, but I hated them. And there's no reason that a 12-year-old boy shouldn't be able to do some push-ups, right? Yeah. And so a lot of it is it's all in their head. Or hold a plank, or we do these like bears, and they're dying. And so,
have you introduced them to burpees yet?
Yes, of course. But making it fun, and then talking to them about like, you don't have any physical limitations with this. I wouldn't have you do anything that I didn't think you could do.
So you're engendering a level of trust.
Yeah, but really it's in your head and it's in your heart, right? Those are the two things that in my mind will make you the best athlete, and the body will follow. So we're going to do these sprints, believe that physically you can do it, and quiet your mind, put your heart in it, because you know the benefit. It will be over. Like, that's the other thing. I think,
yes,
right? It will end.
Yes.
And I'm one of those people, like, I always want to know how many sets, how many reps we're doing, because that mentally helps me prepare. Like, I can do 2 more sets. I can do 10.
There's no unknown.
And then every once in a while, Josh will be like, do 3 more. And that is a mental stressor for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I can be like, I can get through 8. But then if I'm at 7 and he says, go to 12, it's good for me, but I do not like it at all.
There's the challenge.
Yeah.
Well, there's that. Okay, that this is like so inside baseball, but I love it, because when you're the 7 to 12, or when you're doing like a sprint evolution, and it's time to sprint again, but your heart rate hasn't really recovered. What I say to myself, or I say to anybody, is just do it and see if the performance drops off. And what you find is, when you use the attitude of we'll see, the performance doesn't drop off. Like, you ask the body without like screaming at it. You just ask it to, and then boom, you get a powerful sprint, or boom, you get like 12 perfect reps. And I love that, because your body's constantly saying, like, you can relax. You could, now's a good time to relax. Now's a good time to calm down.
Yeah.
And
default setting.
Let this see. And then you could also, sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you do that like 8th sprint and you vomit. Okay.
We had some of that in football.
There's some of that.
It goes with the territory.
But it's a process of discovery. And it's like, you didn't find your limits. You found out your limits that day. And that's okay. And the goal isn't to puke, by the way. The goal is not to fail. The goal is to be curious about what that limit is. And if you're a good coach, you have some sort of parameter on one. I can read, from the outside looking, I can see how stressed the nervous system is, and shaking and slowness, and is there the counter-receptors not firing? But also, it's like, I know that the volume that we're at, we can go 10% more and she'd be fine, right? Or 15% more. So I'm going to take you 9% more, and that's going to be uncomfortable but developmental the whole time. And that's like I said, inside baseball, but that's the fun part, right? Of seeing how far you can take a human. And so that's why Stacy's going to the Olympics.
No, too old. I don't think there's that.
I didn't say what Olympics.
Oh, okay.
Intramural Olympic.
Yeah. I think it's important to say, though, that like, these things don't come easy to me, right? Like, I have a constant dialogue in my head to help me get through things. And I want to say that because, like, if anyone's listening that's just like, oh, I really want results, like, and you said it, just start the next sprint and see what happens. That's a constant. If I'm doing intervals, like, I don't want to do the next interval, and I'm talking myself out of it, and I have to recognize that and talk myself into just doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not as good as the last one, and I have to, I can't do it as well, or I have to cut a rep out or something, because it's going beyond, it's harming more than hurting. But none of this stuff is easy. And that's why I think when I talk to these kids, or I talk to or just happy to be talking about it today, is I think from the outside looking in, there's a perception that like, you see a fit person, or you see success, and it's like, oh, well, they were an athlete their whole life. They're conditioned to it. It's easier for them. I can't do it because I don't have that history. But it's just not true. Like, I struggle with this all day, every day. I don't want to go. And that's the other thing, is I lost all my motivation to work out because I didn't have that spark anymore to get myself to do it on my own, which is why I asked for help. And that's scary too, to call someone up randomly and be like, hey, I need help. And then structuring your program on the days that, making it realistic for you on the days that you know you can be more successful, even if you're not motivated. So I hate Mondays. There's something between the transition of my weekend life and my work week life. So I go on Mondays, and I never want to go, but I'm committed to going, and I always feel better when I leave. And I'm scared every time I walk in the door. Like, I'm nervous because I don't know what to expect. And I always say this because I just think it's funny. And Josh made a comment to me one day. He said, you make that look easy. And I was like, that wasn't easy at all. Because, well, your face never changes. I can't tell.
Game face.
And I was like, it's because I'm just concentrating, I'm processing. I'm having those conversations in my head. Like, there's no effing way I can do another squat at this weight.
What does that self-talk look like for you internally?
It's, gosh, a lot of it now is around, he wouldn't have you do it if he didn't think you could, right? Like, he's not out to hurt me or
trust
or make me fail, right? During it, there is fear in there of failure. I have a massive fear of failure complex.
Is that from childhood on?
Yeah.
We can unpack that one if you are willing to go there. I'm sure that's.
I'd be happy to go there if you want. Yeah, it's not until the last few years that I think I really realized where that came from. But I also, there's safety in what we do, because it's not always, I ask how many reps, and sometimes it's 6 to 8, right? So if I can get to 6, I've accomplished it. If I can do 7, I'm proud of myself. And if I can do 8, he adds more weight to the bar. But I think it's like trusting that you're with a professional that knows it better than I do. Because I thought, I have to admit, going into it, I was like, what more is he going to teach me that I don't already know?
Because you already know a lot.
Yeah, right. I'll go to group classes sometimes and I'm like, oh my God, this is so boring. Like, I could teach this class way better. And it's like, well, then don't freaking go to the class, Stace, or go to the class and just, he said those things to me. It's like, just don't go to that class. Or if you're going to go, just do what they're saying. Trust them, at least you'll get a workout in, So it's like, I think there's a trust there that he knows more about it than I do and has proved that to me through our time together.
It's a question. I mean, one could wonder whether or not I know more than you do. I don't know if that's the answer, but
I don't know. It seems like you.
But the intention behind the training, I think, a lot of people. So, like, am I having taught large group programs, small group programs, and everything in between? Not every class is designed to like maximize your potential. Sometimes you're just there to get a sweat, practice the moves. It's not really about getting, super intentional with everything that you're doing. And so, like, I have a soft grip on like whether or not some programs are good or bad. It's like, for what? Like, do you just need a sweat? Great. Are you there to make friends? Awesome. If you are in a powerlifting program where you're trying to be competitive at the state or national level, you should probably be lifting with people who are competitive at the state or national level. And it should be like, so it's like, how precise are you talking about what success looks like? And then I think there's a lot of, I don't know what your experience with the trainers were, but sometimes I see people taking people to failure just because they want their people to work hard. It's like, but I think that there's a lack of understanding of, is it useful to go that hard, and what are you getting out of that? And creating guardrails. You said, you used the term safety. There's safety in what we're doing, And it's like, yeah, because we have an intention with what we're trying to get from this. And when we hit that intention, we're done. We move to the next thing. And then the performance improves, all the metrics improve. That's it. I'm here to win. I'm not here to see how many push-ups you can do every day. Although, of course, we will test that.
Your favorite.
But let's, if you want, I think it would be valuable. I know we're over time. I don't want to keep everybody for the rest of their life. But the fear of failure, because one of the thing, I love what you said about it's still hard for me. There's Apollo Coelho, the alchemist, the author of The Alchemist. He talks about the cost of living your personal legend. And when you know what your purpose is and you know what your values are, you have to pursue them, because the price, there's a price that you pay to follow your own personal legend. That's getting up early, that's doing the difficult things, that's letting go of relationships that don't serve you, and the things in your life that are a waste of your time and energy. And sometimes that's painful, like convenient relationships, fun things sometimes have to go. And the cost of not doing it is higher than that, because outside of the fact that you don't live your potential, you don't tap into that part of you that you always know is there. You'll look in the mirror 5, 10, 20 years later and say, I wasted my life.
Yeah.
That's a terrible feeling.
Terrible feeling.
And the thing that I don't like getting up early now. I used to love it. Now I get up because it's useful, and it's painful sometimes, but I know, and I just appreciate you saying that, because I don't, if I sleep in a little bit, I miss breakfast, sleep in a little bit more, and then I'm disorganized and late. And the contrasting pain of me suffering for not getting the things I need is too much to bear, to the discomfort of just doing it. And I think that part of the success is understanding that you've experienced both already and just choosing a slightly less painful process.
Which pain do you choose?
And people, I think there's this sweet desire for a genuine belief that there'll be a day where it's not hard. And I think if you're living authentically, it's always going to be a little bit challenging. And sometimes the challenge is acceptable, and sometimes the challenge is overwhelming.
That
one personally connects for you?
Yeah. It personally connects with me when I have to have a difficult conversation with someone I love, hey, I'm not getting what I need here, and I need this from you. And that hurts me to say, but I know that you really do care about me. And I know that you also want to grow. And it's vulnerable to have those conversations because you might lose something. And I feel more comfortable in that. But like I said, I think Stacy nailed it. It's not just because you can do it doesn't mean it's easy.
No, I think too, it's like, you said, oh, if you have that challenging conversation, you might lose something, or it might turn out really great.
Amazing.
But either way, you're still going to be okay.
Yes.
You're better off. Either way, whatever the result, it took me a really, really, really long time to realize this. But if you can just face whatever it is that's bothering you, it might not go your way, or it might, but either way, you'll be better off than if you hadn't. If you hadn't had that hard conversation, or opened up about something that's bothering you, or holding on to some kind of resentment that you can't let go of, that's worse than doing something about it. Or if you don't want to do anything about it, then you got to let it go. You got to let it wash off. Right.
House
so
rules.
The power lives, because, you're the only one you can control. So you can't blame anyone else for how you're feeling if you aren't willing to do something about it. And if you don't think it's worth it, then you got to find a way to let it go.
Grief.
You sacrifice, the thing you're sacrificing on the altar is the lie, the polite lie that you were holding on to keep the peace.
Right.
Or you sacrifice the results and the outcome that you actually want, but something's getting sacrificed on that altar. Do you want it to be something useless or something useful?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's truth.
Yeah.
So digging into the fear of failure
Yeah.
Aspect, was that born of a parent or something that happened to you growing up in sports, or did that get big for you?
Yeah. I know my dad won't ever listen to this podcast, so
Well,
it's
I think in our field we have to say something like I think Connor Beaton's wife said, you can't protect your parents and honor your story at the same time.
right.
We're
Yeah.
not saying that parents are all bad, but they drop the ball from time to time.
Well, they do the best they can, right?
Yes. So you're it's okay to.
Yeah. I everything I remember growing up was I never really could. You guys had something about. I started listening to one of your podcasts. You were talking about people pleasers, right? I never really could. I couldn't ever win, right? So I'd come home and I'd be really excited about something, and it would be like, well, "That's good, but
That's classic.
that's good, but." I remember I went into college wanting to be a doctor.
Mhm.
My brain is not wired to be a doctor. I don't memorize things. I can figure things out really well, which is, I ended up in engineering, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a math teacher in a high school and coach soccer and basketball.
Mm.
And I came home and I was super excited about this. Like, I figured out what I want to do. And my dad said, well, you can always do that. You should do engineering. That's not good enough. That's not a good enough major to meet like his standards. Or, oh, I gotta, why did you get a C in civics? And I was like, because it's stupid and I don't understand it. And the teacher's an asshole, right? You can't get C's and, get into a good school. And I mean, granted, I was a 3.7 student. Like, I had one C. Maybe the only A I didn't get was in like economics, because again, it's boring and stupid. But
economics is actually excellent. Thank you. Everyone should study economics.
I didn't understand it, right? Like, and so it was just everything I did. It's like I thought I got to the finish line, and the finish line was always 20 yards. Someone was always moving it farther away.
Move the goalposts.
Yeah, moving the goalpost.
How'd that land for you?
It was really, it's frustrating, right? Because, we talked about, like, I've got high work ethic. I set goals. I try to achieve them. I try to be a good person. And when someone's always constantly moving that target, you never feel adequate.
Yep.
Like, you never feel good enough.
Worthiness.
And it was, it destroyed me.
Mm.
It's just I've spent a lot of time like just building my self-confidence up. I have had low self-esteem my whole life. Like, I have this perfectionism complex, like all these things that were driven by that upbringing of every single person in my life constantly wanting me to do better than I was. And it still happens in work. Like, sure. I don't move fast enough through decisions that my boss wants me to move. He moves really fast. I'm a thinker. I like to process. I like to collaborate. I like to figure out the best solution before I move forward. I like to get buy-in so that I can make a decision once and move on.
Seems smart.
Right? But plus I'm not willing to sacrifice my whole life for my job.
That's smart too.
Right? So yeah, it's forced me not to do things. So I've turned, I was talking about that friend that used to call. I used to lie and not go all the time. Oh no, I'm busy, because I was too afraid to go and fail. And now I can get myself there.
Sure.
You know?
But experiencing that pain was just not a place for you to go ever.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, it didn't feel good.
Yeah,
you know?
it doesn't.
Um,
It's
and
particularly hard when it happens in childhood too. So we just want to be seen and loved and validated that our existence is good and we're good.
yeah, like I just want someone to be like, good job.
Well done. Yeah.
I mean, I'm constantly looking for validation even in the gym now. Like, how am I
Sure.
doing? Am I your best student? Like,
Sure. Yeah.
am I the strongest person you work with?
Yeah.
You know?
And when do we believe it?
Yeah. And it's nice because like sometimes all I need is like that little bit of accomplishment, you know? Like you heard how I told the story about when I was sick and you heard how Josh told it. Like that's the difference, right? That's a perfect example of me self-deprecating
Right.
because I feel like I failed that day. And he's sitting there going,
Success.
Yeah, it was success.
Mm-hmm.
It's
fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
What and this that's the achiever's dilemma, right? Is you're always on the next thing. So you're, whether it's nature or nurture, or both, your desire to take on some new challenge and go hard is, there's a lot of positive upside to that. Then the thing that I think crushes people, Stacy, and I'm curious to how you've done that in the past, because like anybody else would get a squat PR, a back squat PR, like, heavy metal. They would celebrate, they'd post on Instagram. They, getting them to come back to their workout would be difficult, right? Because they're like excited about it. But then how do you sustain your performance if your best isn't winning? If you're not in that place of celebrating your wins and like feeling what's going on. So then how do you calibrate that to actually like enjoy the process?
Well, first of all, I don't know how to use Instagram, so that
helps.
That's why I don't post anything.
Don't bother.
I can read it, I just don't know how to post it. But I think that that reminder, like when you tell me like that was a big deal, I go home and I celebrate it, right?
Good.
So like my son's working with a trainer, my husband's working out again, like we're all getting fit and there's a little bit of at-home competition going on,
Healthy.
right?
Yeah.
Healthy competition, but so it's just someone saying, because I felt like ass that day. And I literally thought my chest and head were going to explode. And just having someone say, good job, like that was good. That isn't something I was ever conditioned to. I was never conditioned to like, oh, good job. Like that was really good. That was better than you've ever done before. So like,
how did that land for you when you said that?
it was awesome because I was like, well, shit, I can do more now. Right? Let's go. Like, let's go. This is cool.
And someone saw you and said you were enough.
Yeah, I'm enough. Like what you just did was enough.
Super healing.
Go home and relax.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's still, I mean, being a kid, it's like it was good job, but especially in gymnastics, you do your best and you're scored, right? And then they're nitpicking there's always something they're nitpicking
Constant
apart.
evaluation.
Yeah. And in soccer, I was always trying to prove myself and never could break the barrier with my coach to get like additional playing time or whatever it was, and and then even in adult life at work, it's like we're I think like the work environment like is just not conditioned to say like that was good.
Sadly.
Nice work. And so I try to say those things. Like
good for you. It's interesting. You've had an archetypally bad experience with the masculine here, with male role models, until this guy over here, your boss, your coach, your dad. Like
the coach was a woman, but
well,
but I know,
the same experience of
right.
And coaches make the mistake all the time. I think they have to be heavy-handed.
Yeah.
knowing what winning is, I think there's so many that we could dissect this for hours, and I think we should wrap because we have
No, I think we could talk.
Our
about
videographer is good.
but one of the things like people in the field, when I talk to other coaches and trainers, we have different metrics, and I am of a very small heterodox community of people that are very outcome oriented and okay, not just have the right theory, but I'm also living it every day and doing it. And I think that's a big part of it. And it's most of the time, I think that's true in every field, is like people are not looking for the same things. Success in many gyms is just being really sweaty, which is cool. Great. Yeah, like I said, get a sweat on. Like, me too. Also, I have goals and I got shit to do, and I have like, you name an injury and I've already had it. So I can't just knock myself out every single day. And what you're specifically monitoring success, whether in the work environment or, I remember again, a formative relationship I had with Major, or I guess Lieutenant Colonel Ashbez when he retired. He was my S2 in my first deployment, and a mission would happen and we would go over the after action review and be like, oh, we captured 7, nobody was injured and on our team, like we did great. And he would say, okay, well, how does that help us reduce the threat to the government of Afghanistan tomorrow? And then the room got quiet.
That's the tactic, was defeating the strategy.
And we're like, oh, I just thought we were here to shoot people. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Can you stay with the tactics here?
Somebody write that down.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then it just got me thought. It's like someone in the room has to know whether or not your team is winning or playing football. Like, and it's a leader's job to know that. And so I think Stacy does a good job with her 7th grade undefeated football team. But also her team at the office. And I think that's part of the work. And this has been healing for me, just to be reminded in this conversation about how it's challenging, even if you're doing all the right things. And it's easy to forget the wins that I've had and not even acknowledge them and just be like, yep, this Friday you showed up and did it. Saturday you showed up and did it. Just get on to the next thing, get on to the next thing. And that's something that Miles and I talk about. The reward for hard work shouldn't be more hard work.
Yeah.
There should be some sort of acknowledgement of what we're doing here.
You are enough.
Yeah. No, you are enough.
No, you aren't.
No, Stacy's enough.
Yeah.
Jacob's enough. Yeah. I feel complete. How do you feel, Stacy?
I feel good. This is fun.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do a part 2 sometime after you've set your world record at Masters.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever
Olympic
Masters competition, yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't want to do competitions anymore. Oh, it's too stressful. Very too stressful. So thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for sharing and
it's really fun
to go deep. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, until next time, gonna fly now.
That's a song. That's right. Yeah, everyone go listen to it so he knows what he's talking about.
That's right. Thank you.
I am going to listen to that.
All right. Go run up your own rocky steps and do a victory dance and share this podcast if it's helped anybody. And we'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
Are out.
Bye.